The world today is witnessing a series of interconnected events that are shaping politics, economics, and humanitarian realities across continents. In the Middle East, Gaza remains at the center of attention as Israel intensifies its offensive on Gaza City. Officials have issued what they call last opportunity warnings for residents to leave before the next stage of operations begins. At the same time, the international community is watching closely as Hamas considers a US-backed proposal that could potentially lead to a ceasefire and open the door to a political transition. But while diplomatic talks continue, the reality on the ground grows harsher. The global Sumud flotilla, made up of more than 50 ships from 44 different countries, attempted to deliver aid to Gaza by sea, but was intercepted by Israeli naval forces. This interception has triggered debates about international maritime law and whether Israel is overstepping legal boundaries in its blockade. For the people trapped inside Gaza, the politics of war translate into daily struggles for food, water, and safety. In the United States, political drama has spilled over into real consequences for millions of people. On October 1, the U.S. government officially shut down after lawmakers failed to pass a funding bill. Federal workers are facing uncertainty, services are being halted, and the political blame game has intensified. Democrats and Republicans continue to clash over spending priorities, healthcare, and immigration policies. Yet despite the shutdown, global financial markets reacted with surprising calm. Investors chose to focus on the strength of the technology sector and ongoing innovation, rather than the chaos unfolding in Washington. Still, for ordinary citizens who rely on government support or who work in federal departments, the impact of this shutdown will be felt almost immediately. Across Europe, security concerns are dominating the conversation. French forces recently boarded a Russian-linked oil tanker called the Boracay, which is suspected of being involved in drone launches toward Denmark. The Danish Prime Minister has warned that Europe is now facing threats more serious than those seen during the Cold War, as Russia's hybrid tactics, ranging from cyber attacks to drone warfare, spread instability. At the same time, Ukraine continues to live under the shadow of war. A major power outage at the Chernobyl nuclear plant lasted 16 hours before engineers managed to restore electricity. Incidents like this serve as reminders of how fragile and dangerous critical infrastructure becomes in a war zone. Belgium, meanwhile, is seeking assurances from fellow European Union members before it agrees to using frozen Russian assets to financially support Ukraine. This move highlights how Europe remains divided over the question of how to fund long-term support for Kyiv without destabilizing its own economies. Moving to the Asia-Pacific region, Papua New Guinea has approved a delayed defense treaty with Australia. This agreement is seen as part of Canberra's wider strategy to counterbalance China's growing influence in the Pacific. Security in the Pacific Islands has become a major theme in recent years, with countries like the United States, Japan, and Australia deepening ties with smaller nations that find themselves caught between global powers. In China, the Communist Party has announced that its fourth plenum will take place later in October. Such meetings often set the tone for the country's political and economic policies, and global analysts are eager to see what direction the leadership will choose at a time when China faces slower growth and heightened international scrutiny. On the economic front, the global trade outlook is turning more cautious. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development has warned that maritime trade growth could slow to just 0.5% in 2025. This slowdown is linked to supply chain disruptions, shifting sea routes due to climate change, and ongoing geopolitical tensions. The International Monetary Fund is expected to release its updated World Economic Outlook later this month, which may provide further insight into how policymakers should respond to these challenges. Investors and governments alike are trying to balance optimism about technology and green energy with concerns about inflation, war, and unstable trade routes. Beyond politics and economics, the world also reflects on loss and human resilience. Jane Goodall, the legendary primatologist who dedicated her life to studying chimpanzees and advocating for environmental conservation, has passed away at the age of 91. Her work inspired generations of scientists and conservationists, and her death marks the end of an era in the field of wildlife research. October has also begun with a global focus on health, as Breast Cancer Awareness Month is being marked under the theme, "Every story is unique, every journey matters." From awareness campaigns to fundraising drives, this month remains a symbol of global solidarity in the fight against one of the world's most common cancers. Meanwhile, climate scientists are warning of unusual seasonal changes. The World Meteorological Organization has projected above normal surface temperatures across most land areas for the coming months. There are also early signs that a weak La Niña might be developing in the Pacific Ocean, a phenomenon that could bring shifts in rainfall and storms across Asia, the Americas, and beyond. With climate change already amplifying extreme weather events, the possibility of even a mild La Niña raises concerns for farmers, coastal cities, and disaster-prone regions. Taken together, these developments paint a picture of a world in flux. War, politics, and climate crises are reshaping lives on every continent. Yet amid the challenges, there are also moments of solidarity, as seen in global aid efforts, international awareness campaigns, and scientific progress. The question facing humanity is how to navigate these overlapping challenges: conflict in Gaza, political division in Washington, hybrid warfare in Europe, shifting alliances in the Pacific, slowing global trade, and climate uncertainty, while still holding on to shared values of peace, cooperation, and resilience. The headlines may seem overwhelming, but they also remind us that the global story is one of both fragility and strength, of struggle and persistence, and of a continuing search for solutions in a complex world.